Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Barbados Prime Minister rejects a suggestion that the country has no option but to go to the IMF. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Wednesday, March 15. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. Barbados Prime Minister Frondell Stewart says his administration will not go running to the International Monetary Fund for assistance, at least not yet. His insistence came during his contribution to the budget debate on Wednesday, one day after former Prime Minister Owen Arthur recommended that the government seek help from the International Financial Agency. The Prime Minister said there is no antagonism between Barbados and the IMF, but he sees no need to seek them out at this time.
I have heard all of the talk in Barbados. I heard the Member of Parliament for St. Peter yesterday saying we should go into an IMF program and so on. I want to make it very clear. I spoke to the Chamber of Commerce in January and I said that there will be no panicky resort to the IMF by the President Government of Barbados. No panicky resort to it. If the stage is ever reached where it has to happen, as with the case of Tom Adams, as with the case of Sandyford, this Prime Minister will have the courage to look the country in the face and say, well, look, here is what the facts are, here is what I think we have to do for the good of this country. But that is not an agenda item of the government at this stage.
Stewart admitted that the country was spending more than it was earning, which has led to enlarged foreign debt and the excess printing of money. But he said the high spending can be justified.
Given the context in which we have been operating over the last few years, in the wake of this crisis, in the wake of losing $1 billion in corporate tax revenue, we've had revenue challenges while our expenditure has been fairly consistent. And we've had to do this. This is not from everlasting to everlasting. It is not designed to be from everlasting to everlasting. The Ministry of Finance, the Minister of Finance, the government, all of us have been trying to reduce that fiscal deficit so that we can get ourselves out of that difficulty and get the public finances back to normal. And the report card this year shows that we have made significant progress in that regard.
On the issue of the possible devaluation of the Barbados dollar and the recommendation for the dollar to be pegged to a basket of currencies instead of the United States dollar, Stewart insists that there will be no devaluation and the currency will remain pegged to the US dollar.
Our peg to the US dollar has served us well ever since 1975. It has made our business transactions certain. Our business people have been able to rely on it. Our citizens have been able to rely on it. It is true that the US dollar has been strengthening against other currencies in recent times. But that has happened before, and that can change as well. So you cannot react to events as much as you should respond to events by making sure that rather than reacting, in which case the actor is in control, when you respond, you are in control, and you take the decisions you consider to be in the best interest of the country.
Jamaica's main opposition is calling on the government to withdraw its $13.5 billion tax plan. People's National Party spokesman on finance, Dr. Peter Phillips, says the Andrew Holness-led administration has displayed incompetence based on the content of the 2017-2018 budget. He's accusing the government of confusing the budget process by making last-minute changes in the capital expenditure of public bodies. Phillips says the exercise has revealed an inadequacy of the government's management of the economy. Andrea Krishlom of TVJ News has the details.
The tax increase on fuel and motor vehicle license and fees mean one thing for Dr. Peter Phillips. People will pay more for gas, motor vehicle transactions and light bills. And depending on the negotiations, more money for bus and taxi fares. Not to mention the GCT on group health insurance, an unprecedented move.
No government in the past, in the history of this country, has sought to tax premiums on health insurance. The effect of this will be to immediately raise the costs of premiums to firms and individuals.
But Finance Minister Audley Shaw heckled Dr. Phillips, arguing that he was misleading the House, adding that the tax was on group health insurance and not individuals.
Don't be like the Ethiopian eunuch that Philip had to ask, do you understand what you read it? Calm down.
His rationale? Workers share the cost of health insurance with their companies, and if the cost goes up, workers will have to pay more. Dr. Phillips gave an example of a company with close to 2,600 employees. Before the tax, collectively they would pay $324.5 million per year.
The annual premium for that company as a whole in that scheme will be going up by $53 million.
Moving to roughly $378 million per year. And so, after analyzing the budget, the opposition spokesman on finance urged the government to withdraw the tax package.
The government during the election campaign had promised to raise the tax threshold without any taxes. We said it couldn't be done, and that it would cost $30 billion of new taxes. And that is the price the Jamaican people are paying. It was motivated by partisan concerns rather than the national interest. It is too burdensome, especially on the majority and especially on the poorest in that majority. Mr. Speaker, the government should wheel and come.
Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Timothy Antoine, says the institution is poised to make a modest profit at the end of this fiscal year, following 3 years of losses. Antoine, who took over from the late Sir Dwight Venner in February last year, was speaking on a current affairs program hosted by the bank as he marked his first year in office. The governor said he's encouraged by the progress made in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union during his first year.
The bank is making a profit. We expect that we will make a small profit at the end of this financial year after 3 years of losses. And we have every expectation and plans to increase the profitability of the bank going forward. So again, we are seeing a turnaround in that regard.
Upon assuming the position, Antoine had put forward a 4-pillar vision for the ECCU and the ECCB. Those pillars were financial stability, fiscal and debt sustainability, growth, competitiveness and employment, and organizational effectiveness. Antoine said he's pleased that the bank was able to maintain a strong EC dollar to improve financial stability in the sub-region.
We were able to resolve 2 troubled banks in Anguilla. And as a result, we now have National Commercial Bank of Anguilla, and that is making steady progress. We've also seen across the currency union improvement in the performance of our national banks and our international banks. So whether you look at capital adequacy or you look at profitability, we saw improvement, but also very importantly, asset quality as measured by non-performing loans. which fell from a high of 17%, well, 17% at the end of 2015 to around 12.5% at the end of 2016.
But Antoine said the period was not without its challenges, and the major challenge was with growth, competitiveness, and employment.
I think at the moment we recorded around 2.5% growth in 2016. That is not bad, but not good enough. Where do we want to be? We want to be at 5% per annum or more. And so that remains a challenge. But what we did in the first year was to build a foundation for how we are going to get together attempt to raise the trajectory of growth. And there are a number of actions that we're taking in this coming year which will address that issue of growth and competitiveness.
And still to come in Caribbean Newsline, protests over the decision to dissolve Trinidad and Tobago's Tourism Development Company. The details when we return. Stay with us.
The 50th edition of Antigua Sailing Week. Not a sailor, not a problem. Chase the rays from the best beach locations and party in the ocean. On our beaches, a different one each day. Take a drink, take another. Hula, play, dance in the sand. Dance to reggae, to soca, to the beat of your own drum under the moonlight. 7 beach days and party nights. Come play at the 50th edition of Antigua Sailing Week.
April 29th to May 7th, 2017.
Are you up for the challenge?
Yeah, the bug. Oh, show it off for me. What's left? All right, left. Good luck.
So, DJ Nori, he is fun, professional, and a great guy.
What's up, guys? Everybody doing all right? What's going on? I just finished having a little lunch with Kibo, and we definitely was talking about you guys, and he said y'all was going to be down here, but so while I'm driving to the airport, I said, let me come over here.
Round Hay Pharmacy now has 2 locations to fill your prescriptions promptly and efficiently. Our branch at One Accord Plaza is open daily, including Sundays and bank holidays. Also, check out our new drive-through location at Warren's Healthcare Complex in Michael, the first and only drive-through pharmacy in Barbados. For more information, call Round Hay One Accord Plaza at 421-7863 and our new drive-through branch at Warren's in Michael at 424-5574.
Welcome back. Guyana's opposition leader Barra Jagdeo is rubbishing the government's insistence that he cannot claim immunity as a former president because he remains in active politics. Minister of State Joseph Harmon put government's position on the table after Jagdeo avoided answering questions at a hearing of the Special Organized Crime Unit SOCU, which is investigating alleged misappropriation of government lands. But Jagdeo told the media on Tuesday that Harmon is off mark.
Harmon is so wrong on this, and as a lawyer, I'm ashamed for him to think that anyone can do this. He or anyone else can remove a constitutional protection.
Last week, ranks of the Guyana Police Force's Special Organized Crime Unit SOCU arrested Mr. Jagdeo, during which he was questioned about his acquisition of land at Goodforwagting Sparendam, Pradoville 2. Minister Harmon stated on Friday during a post-cabinet press briefing that Mr. Jagdeo cannot commit certain acts and expect that his presidential immunity would protect him.
Even though there are immunities, there are certain exceptions because you cannot commit an egregious type of act, which is something that an international court or anybody can deem to be as such, and still believe that nothing will happen.
Mr. Jagdeo, who served as Guyana's president for 12 years, took up constitutional office as the opposition leader in 2015. He was also elected as General Secretary of the PPP in January this year. Jagdeo posited that despite Minister Harmon's view, the matter of immunity can only be decided upon by the courts.
To aggravate this silliness, he said, the police must determine the immunity. Now, policemen can't determine immunities of president. That's a constitutional immunity. It cannot be determined. It's only the courts that ultimately can determine these issues.
And that report was from Kristen McLingham of HGP TV. We continue now in Trinidad and Tobago, where workers of the Tourism Development Company, the TDC, are protesting government's decision to dissolve the company which develops and markets the Twin Island Republic's tourism product. While some of the 130 employees have been promised re-employment, they have been given no written agreement and they are all worried about going on the breadline. The employees began their protest on Tuesday outside the TDC's head office. CNC3's Cindy Raghubar Tikasing reports.
TDC workers are angry over the government's decision to dissolve the company, a place where many of them have been with from day one. A group of employees, joined by their union representatives of the Communication Workers Union, came in protest against the announcement.
He must understand that in the presence of a recognized majority union, there's an obligation by law to meet and treat in good faith. And we will hate to believe that the Prime Minister and his cabinet, using the economic downturn, is going to break the law with impunity. That to us is a dangerous trend, and as such we are demanding that this thing be immediately rescinded.
The workers have not been promised any separation packages, and workers have been largely left in the dark.
We keep hearing that they have had consultation with staff, they had consultation with the union. We don't know which union, which staff, because it wasn't us.
Phillips says they were all told to put things in place within 3 months' time. And during a staff meeting last Friday, she says it was promised that some staff members could be reabsorbed by one ministry.
The staff was told that consultation was done with the Ministry of Rural Development and the regional corporations, that they will absorb the site coordinators and the staff at the sites.
As for the majority, they will be made to reapply. But how many?
But Labour Minister Jennifer Batiste-Primus is seeking to assure the workers that they won't be left out in the cold.
Sometimes hard decisions have to be taken, but we want to give the assurance that the workers of TDC will be treated fairly, and they will also have the opportunity to apply for the new jobs that will emerge from the new structure, the new organization.
She said there would also be employment opportunities within the new regulatory authority which will be set up for local tourism. Minister of Tourism Shamfa Cudjoe, who had announced the dissolution of the TDC last week, is currently out of the country, but she's expected to meet with the union when she returns. And there's a warning of mass demonstrations in St. Lucia. The main opposition St. Lucia Labour Party has embarked on a series of public and town hall meetings to galvanize support for its planned protests against the multi-billion-dollar Pearl of the Caribbean project in the southern town of Beaufort. The $2.6 billion project will occupy a 700-acre site and will include a marina, a race course, a resort and shopping mall, casino, free trade zone, extensive entertainment and leisure facilities, as well as villas and apartments. But the opposition has chastised government for leasing prime lands at a mere $1 EC per acre and destroying the ecosystem in the impacted area. The SLP said that even while Prime Minister Alan Chastanet was assuring St. Lucians that only a framework agreement existed and that negotiations were ongoing, the developer was already clearing lands, and that's even though no approval had been given and no environmental impact assessment undertaken. And ahead in Newsline Sport, Soca Warriors prepare for their World Cup qualifier against Panama. Stay with us. Sport is next.
The Caribbean Awards for Excellence invites nominations for its next awards cycle in the categories Arts and Letters, Science and Technology, Public and Civic Contributions, and Entrepreneurship. Join the growing college of distinguished laureates from throughout the region we've honored in the last decade. Visit www.answercaribbeanawards.com for forms and instructions. Nominations close on March 31st.
Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with diabetes? If so, it is important that you know about Glucerna. Glucerna is a nutritional supplement for people with diabetes and contains Carb Steady, which helps minimize blood sugar spikes. Manage your diabetes with Glucerna. Glucerna, nutrition for people with diabetes, designed for you.
Barbados. Renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
Football takes the spotlight in our midweek sport. TNT has heightened preparation for their World Cup qualifier against Panama, and that match will kick off 2 weeks from now in Port of Spain. It's not the first time the Soca Warriors will face the Central American side in a crucial qualifier, and TNT was faced with a similar situation back in 2005 when they needed points to stay alive in the Hex. But Captain Carlos Edwards thinks his men have what it takes to get past the Panamanians.
I think it's something that obviously we need to take and obviously take the bull by the horn. As players, we need to take responsibility. We know what is at hand. We know what it takes to obviously to try and win a game. And all I can say is obviously the guys, and they know, and they're going to go out there with put the best foot forward when they cross that white line, and just going to give it all. But saying that, obviously you said before, obviously the experience that I have and playing in the past and coming through it the hard way. I think as Trinidadians, I think we like to do it the hard way. But I don't see it's an impossible task. It's going to be a tough one. When the guys in there are obviously taking in the right direction, I think we could get a result and a positive result.
Edward, who recently came back from injury, says he and the rest of the team are confident of victory at this stage of the tournament.
Me personally feel okay, feel good, feel fresh, fit. Obviously coming off the little injury against Haiti in the qualifiers. Looking back at the guys who Dennis has brought in, look very productive, spritey, fresh. And I think the guys are there full of confidence. The training has been great. Nothing too much, putting us through our paces. Trying to get the guys to a certain level of fitness. And you can see the guys in there really taking heed of what has been taught to them.
Portmore United and Puerto Rico FC launched their bid for the Caribbean Football Union's Club Championship title with contrasting victories on Tuesday. Portmore stopped Scholar International of Cayman Islands 2-0, and the home team prevailed 1-0 over SV Transvaal of Suriname in the Group D matches at the Juan Ramon Lubriel Stadium. Kareem Manning struck twice in the first half to secure the victory for Portmore, the only Jamaica side left in the competition. Following the exit of Montego Bay United, Manning struck in the 4th and 21st minutes from open play to give the Jamaica Premiership side a winning start to the group. In the other match, a first-half penalty converted by Hector Pito Ramos was sufficient to see Puerto Rico FC to the win and 3 points. The group play continues on Thursday when Portmore face Transvaal before that's PRFC tackle Scholars International. Still in football, Wes Morgan became the first ever Jamaican to score in a Champions League game as reigning English champions Leicester City dramatically overturned a first-leg deficit to beat Sevilla 2-0 and storm into the last 8 of Europe's most celebrated competition. On Tuesday, Morgan snatched his piece of history in the 27th minute to put Leicestershire ahead when he arrived at the far post to somehow bundle in Riyadh free kick. The strike, coupled with their away goal, plus Leicester ahead, and Sevilla immediately went in search of the win. Leicester's lead held at half-time, and they doubled their advantage 9 minutes into the second half when defending Rami knocked down a free kick into the path of Alberton, who produced a clinical finish. The Foxes will learn who will be their quarterfinal opponents in Friday's draw. Switching to cricket, Darren Sammy is leaving the decision about whether he plays again for West Indies up to the selection panel. The former West Indies captain said he's available for selection in the limited overs formats for the upcoming series against Pakistan, which features 4 T20, 3 one-day internationals and 3 tests. Sammy has not played for West Indies since their stunning victory over England in the FC, that's in the final of the ICC T20 World Cup last April, but has indicated he would relish the opportunity to put on the burgundy stripe once again. At the same time, Sammy hopes the recent appointment of new Chief Executive Officer Johnny Grieve, new Director of Cricket Jimmy Adams and new head coach Stuart Law can cool the strained relations between the West Indies Cricket Board and several senior players over the controversial selection policy, as well as terms and conditions of engagement. Former champs Bahamas will be looking this year to regain or reclaim the title they lost at the Carifta Swimming Championship in 2016. The country will have home advantage as host of the April tournament, and the Swimming Federation president says Bahamas will be the team to beat. Kelsey Johnson has that report.
President of the Bahamas Swimming Federation, Algernon Cargill, said there's no pressure. The team has done it before and are more than ready to do it again.
What is exciting about this team is that the team is a mixture of veterans and experienced veterans, which are experienced swimmers, as well as younger swimmers. And we're hoping that the veterans are able to guide the younger swimmers as we seek to retain the Carifta Championships we lost to Martinique of last year. And we lost very narrowly after winning Carifta for 2 consecutive years, which is also in itself history for the Bahamas. But nonetheless, with the qualified swimmers that have been named to the team, together with the experience of many of our swimmers in the 15 to 17 age group, we are confident that we can defeat Guadeloupe here at home in the Bahamas.
The Bahamas won the 2014 and 2015 Carifta swimming titles, falling short of a three-peat by a small margin last year. This time around, the swimmers from around the Caribbean will be coming to the Bahamas for the championships. As for the water polo segment, that will take place April 7th through the 9th. The swim competition is April 15th through the 19th at the Betty Kenning Kelly Aquatic Center, and the open water is April 19th at the Long Wharf Beach.
We have 2 dominant swimmers, for example, in the 15 to 17 age group, Aubrey and Lily Higgs. Aubrey is a freshman at the University of South Carolina, just finished her first year of university at age 17. Her sister Lily is also an outstanding swimmer and has great potential for more growth. And we expect these 2 sisters to lead the 15 to 17 age group and dominate here at home in Nassau.
And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Come play at the 50th edition of Antigua Sailing Week. Not a sailor, not a problem. Chase the rays from the best beach locations and party in the ocean. On our beaches, a different one each day. Take a drink, take another. Hula, play, dance in the sand. Dance to reggae, to soca, to the beat of your own drum under the moonlight. 7 beach days and party nights. Come play at the 50th edition of Antigua Sailing Week.
April 29th to May 7th, 2017.
Are you up for the challenge?
Make your special event in Barbados a memorable one. Let Pangrove Elegant Events transform the concept of your dreams into a magical reality. We provide everything you need for your event, from the understated to the stately. Our team can reimagine your indoor or outdoor space, or explore the scenic, lush gardenscape of our event venue at Sugarland Gardens. Celebrate life's milestones with Pangrove Elegant Events and Sugarland Gardens, and experience the elegant side.
Round Hay Pharmacy now has 2 locations to fill your prescriptions promptly and efficiently. Our branch at One Accord Plaza is open daily, including Sundays and bank holidays. Also, check out our new drive-through location at Warren's Healthcare Complex in Michael, the first and only drive-through pharmacy in Barbados. For more information, call Round Hay One Accord Plaza at 421-7863 and our new drive-through branch at Warren's in Michael at 424-5574.
Again, the major developments of this day, Barbados' Prime Minister rejects the suggestion that the country has no option but to go to the IMF. That's Caribbean Newsline. Join us again tomorrow. at 6:30. Have yourselves a good evening.